he's saying, these are the same games that got my mom killed. That killed my mom. And it's chilling when he says it. And if this kid is smart enough to know, okay, maybe he's out there doing stuff in Vegas and stuff, but it was very well covered up. But even if if he sees, hey man, my mother was killed in a ritual sacrifice, and they're priming up my wife for the same thing. Now maybe I'm a heartless guy and I treat women like they're dirt, and I don't care about I don't have respect for human life or the human dignity. But hey, I'm living with this woman. We're together all the time. I kind of like her. I love this woman. And they want to sacrifice her, but I don't want that. Maybe that's what happened. Because it seems to me that's what he's hinting around about.
Well, the thing that gets me is I was watching LBC the other day, listening to Nigel Farage do his hour show, and I was just absolutely in awe of the fact that he spoke for an hour on Harry and Meghan Markle issue. Yeah. We're talking about the Brexit king himself. However, he's also very close friends with Steve Bannon, who also probably financed or helped funnel money into the Brexit party over there. But at the same time, it just seems like a national distraction because Great Britain, it's a different culture. They've been dealing with the royals for over a millennia, well over a millennia. It just seems they're trying to get away from this Epstein's thing the best they can, and they're throwing Harry and his wife out there.
But the thing is now, are they really trying to get away from the Epstein thing? Because at one point, when the faucet was turned, okay, because when the Miami Herald came out with nothing new. Not our new word was published in their papers, okay. And the first time I ever emailed that woman, right away she knew who I was, okay. Ed, right away, I'll get it for you right away, okay. Okay, yes sir, Mr. Officer. Okay, so she knew who I was the second I emailed her, but she's never come to me and asked me, hey Ed, what do you know? Everyone else has contacted me, right? So the minute that faucet was turned and then the mainstream media was allowed to talk about Epstein and the island and stuff like that, because I can remember Rachel Maddow making a big joke about an island of pedophiles, when it was about right when it was about Hillary. The big joke. Oh, this never even happened. None of this is real. Okay, but now suddenly it's all real. Okay, all right. So a faucet was turned, a switch was flipped, and now we're allowed to talk about it. So. Are they going back to distracting us away from the thing that they let us talk about and let us see? I don't know. Listen, this story was covered up, then it was blasted all over, and then the switch was turned again. We just stopped talking about it, I guess, a month after the death. Then this bizarre Epstein didn't kill himself. Memes like that don't go viral by accident. You guys are on the internet, so am I. We know how to search engine optimize. That stuff doesn't happen by accident. It's but suckers like us and people around us fall right into it and go right along with it like a bunch of sheep.
But talking about sheep, and of course I'm a nerd, Ed. I watch, British television. I watch the Parliament. I watch C-SPAN. That's the kind of nerd I am. I just try to keep up with this stuff. And yesterday I was watching, and of course BBC's not the greatest place to go watch, but they had 4 or 5 different people. They called them super fans of the royals. Yeah. Their entire house had every picture of the royal family in them. They were wearing hats and shirts, and they're absolutely into this. And it's funny that you say sheeple because they're so easily distracted over there by the royal family. It's just like people totally forgot about this story until it just surfaces again in some way or fashion. But I don't see it doing that because of this Harry and Meghan thing. And it may or may not be a distraction away from it. I don't know.
Well, I think there's a reality to probably what's going on with it, but it's obvious. It's definitely, even if it's not meant to be a distraction, it definitely obviously is. I mean, really, you would think that, I don't know, maybe my values are a little different than the world's at this time, but you would think somebody that is a proven pedophile would be strung up and taken down. There would be something going on, but now we have all these things going on and there's nothing. It's just mind blowing to me, but people so easily quickly forget. It only takes a couple weeks without media covering it for it just to kind of disappear. And then maybe some idiot like us will mention it here and there and a few people will hear it, but it seems like that's what's happening. It's just crazy to me. It makes me I just can't believe that we have this huge pedophile network wrapped up in our leaders and we're all sitting here like a bunch of dummies talking about it. Nobody can do anything about it. There's nobody that can arrest these people. Obviously, it's just part of our life. It's like almost to normalize this because it's like you can't do anything about it anyway. Here it is in front of your face. Let's normalize it I don't know. It just seems desensitization, and it's ridiculous.
Right. Whereas in France, they wanted to raise retirement age, and people took to the streets against armed police and fist fought with the police, man. Until they got that taken away.
But children are being abused physically, right. and nobody bats an eye.
But I'll tell you something. It's interesting because you're talking about how we're manipulated by the media and stuff like that. The other day, in fact, it was just yesterday. I was thinking about because I'm going through this move. I'm trying to move. I'm trying not to move. And I'm debating in my head. I'm not doing any searches. I'm not even talking out loud. In my head, I'm saying, do I want to bring my furniture with me, or do I want to just give it to Goodwill, and when I get there, I'll buy new furniture? Up on my Facebook pops an ad: half price discount furniture. Okay, and I talk about this. And I said, well, they're reading, and it's easy to say, well, they have technology that can read our minds, and maybe they do, but they have so many data points on us that that they can predict. Hey, this guy, he's pricing, so decide whether he wants to bring his furniture with him or not. So predictive advertising. So they can do it. I just saw him do it to me the other day. So all that stuff that I think I'm such a genius and I'm trying to figure out the Epstein case and stuff like that. I'm talking to everybody. They're 100 steps ahead of me, man. Before I could, and then they squeeze in all this other stuff, frazzle drip. Oh, there's basements under Epstein's Island where little kids are being tortured and stuff. And he's making adrenochrome and all this insanity. Being pumped out by alternative media. Just sold out there. Again, to make it again. We're talking about adrenochrome and factories where they're building kids. Epstein's crimes really weren't at that level. He was luring kids from high school with a candy truck, basically. So when you think, well, was he breeding children for adrenochrome factories? That's horrible. You know what? Luring kids from a high school isn't really that bad. You know what I'm saying? When really, the whole thing, luring the kids from the high school is.
Let me ask you a question. Did you watch the Golden Globes this past weekend, or did you see all the YouTube videos out of Ricky Gervais that did the stand-up when he was calling them pedophiles? He called out DiCaprio and calling him equivalent to Prince Andrew.
Yeah.
I mean, it was national television, but he was telling us what we already knew, and it was a sensation.
I think it's just a slap in the face to the American people, just to say, look, we can do whatever we want, we can talk about it, and people are going to laugh.
Exactly.
Because Michael Jackson's a joke. Michael Jackson he's not a horrible victimizer, he's not a horrible rapist, child rapist, devious, manipulative, obsessed child rapist. He's a funny joke. Ha ha ha. Kids run away on their bicycles to get away from him. But let me tell you something about the Golden Globes, okay? Misty Upman, okay, was a young woman who was a Native American woman, never had a break in her whole life. Okay, but she was raped as a teenager on the native reservation, tribal lands. Tribal police did nothing about it. Boys will be boys, they told her father. Okay, but she was gang raped at the rec center on a tribal land. She moved. Anyway, so she goes into Hollywood. She's a couple of acting parts. She goes to the Golden Globes, the dream of her life, to be honored. Someone from the Harvey Weinstein Company. She's online to go into the ladies' room, grabs her by the wrist, pulls her into the men's room at the Golden Globes Awards, rapes her in the men's room in front of about 25 people. See this? They're cheering him on. Okay? So that night, at least 25 people witnessed a rape of a woman. Another 50, 75 people that night knew about this story that a woman got raped in a bathroom. Okay? How come Ricky Gervais doesn't mention that? It happened right there. And Weinstein's on the chopping block. Why can't they talk about this? By the way, this isn't like up for dispute. This is a known thing.
That's interesting.
And by the way, her dad broke that story on my show. And if you go on his Wikipedia page, you'll see that he talked about this in the meeting and stuff like that, but they don't mention me.
It's enough to make your blood curl, and that's why I don't deal with politics very often. This is a once-a-week thing for me. But when I look at this stuff and I try to, because you try to think positively, right? In life, the scripture says to think on things that are pure, lovely. Think on things, and obviously that helps in your life if you're kind of consuming yourself with the good things about your life. But when you look at stuff like this, and you know that there's real victims out there that are getting no justice, no protection, and they're being preyed upon by these vultures, I guess you could call it, like these reptilian vultures. And I'm not saying that they're all reptilian. I'm just saying like this people that have no regard for other people, because they'll just abuse and hurt and kill and maim, whatever. When you see this stuff happening and you feel I feel powerless. I mean, I can sit and talk about it all day on YouTube or whatever, and we can talk about it. But in the end, there's nobody that is doing anything to pull these things down. People are always saying Trump's trying to drain the swamp. He's trying to do this. But what about this? He hasn't said hardly anything about this horrifying thing that's going down. He hasn't said hardly a word about it. He promised to put Hillary Clinton in prison. I want to see that. I want to see all that, but people still stand behind him. And then what do I know, right? I'm just some guy here, but then you have this Q thing that people were holding their breath for, which could or could not be a psyop, right? It's just probably some kind of thing that just gets people's mind in hope that Trump is going to somehow come in with a superhero cape and save the day. Then you have these prophecies of, these people talking about Trump, and you have all these different things going on, this whole thing surrounding it. We kind of lose sight sometimes of reality because we know none of this stuff is we're not being fed full reality of what's going on. I don't know. I have to just say, hopefully people that are listening, we're not trying to scare people. We're not trying to make you run and hide. We're not trying to make you paranoid about everything going on. But we need to hold the people that we have close to us, and we need to treat them with respect because we don't know how much longer this world is going to, at least in America even, how much longer we're going to have civilized, because when you have stuff like this going on publicly, nobody's doing anything about it. This is a major flashpoint for judgment in any country that has ever existed. And so what are your guys' thoughts on this before we wrap this up?
Well, if you're absolutely right, and if we can have, these little kids being put in cages down there at the detention centers and just make a joke about it a week later, 1,400 of these kids being sexually molested over the past 10 years or so, and just, let's change the channel and talk about something else. We're not down there with bolt cutters trying to rescue these kids. We're going to be judged on that. Every one of us will. Mm-hmm. I'll tell you something else. If they can't arrest Hillary Clinton, they do an investigation on Hillary Clinton. I don't know the details of this uranium deal, but you can't investigate Hillary Clinton on what goes on in Haiti, all that money they stole. Obama was involved in it. Wesley Clark was involved in it. Jeb Bush was involved in it. The Clinton Foundation was involved in stealing earthquake money from Haitians. You can't investigate that and put together a case, then you're not trying. Okay? Trump tried to say he promised he's going to Hillary Clinton. He did nothing. Okay?
Yeah. Did you see the news that came out this morning on the FISA, where the FBI came out and says, we're sorry that we wiretapped President, then elect President Trump's election campaign. And they did Carter, they did some other guy, but they came out, I think it was either yesterday or this morning, and said, we're sorry, but they're not going to be held accountable for, wiretapping private citizens. But they came out, I think it was yesterday, we're sorry we abused the FISA. I'm like, what? And that's all they get.
Okay, well, listen, I want to see every one of these congressmen that brings that up show up at one of my criminal cases where this happens to every one of my clients, where their civil rights are destroyed, there's illegal searches and seizures, illegal wiretaps. Forget it. Perjury in court. If these guys are so upset about American citizens being mistreated, I got 1,000 cases I can give you off the top of my head. Okay, forget doing a little research. I just said we got a case in Binghamton where the prisoners are dying and they're backdating their releases. Okay?
That's crazy. Right. No, I can believe that. I really can believe that. I actually believe that.
You know what I mean? You're going to tell me about Carter Page, who was a government agent to begin with? He's one of them. Who cares if they're wiretapping him?
It's a hot mess. It's a hot mess. And I think it's my personal that Epstein's a part of all of this, but it's a connective tissue between the two parties that are struggling for power in this country. And they're trying to laud it over the other one. And so far, it looks like Trump has got the upper hand. And listening to you talking about the money being spread and watching Steve Bannon, now he's on a tour. and I'm wondering if he's spreading the money